So that's something to consider, because there is that dynamic of that energy that is going on right now in your world. And the problem is that there's a lot of NPCs out here, non-personal characters, that they are reflections of energy that are here, that some people argue, do they even have a soul, or are they just a reflection of the dynamics of your personal reality, giving you the opportunities for growth that you have wished to have in this lifetime? In other words, do you not only have the dynamic of you as an individual, you as a dynamic of consciousness, but perhaps many of those people in your reflection of your outside field are not real, are only really just reflections of your own need to have a certain stimuli, a certain dynamic of opportunity in your life. Now, wouldn't that make, hold on, wouldn't that make it a lot more understandable when you realize that there is a vast majority of those that are interacting with your physical reality on a daily basis that will never understand, that just don't have that level of awareness and don't have the desire to even look for it? Well, why is that? Well, because everyone is on their own level of awareness, their own level of consciousness. There is that whole dynamic of diversity.
Telling the difference in your life between the non-player whatevers and
well, we're just talking about looking at the reflection of your life. In other words, in this sort of situation, we can say, here's Bob. Bob has a dynamic of Brenda and a long, solid relationship, and he also has long, solid relationships with a core group of people that he has been interacting with over the years. Some of them maybe for very long periods of time, some of them maybe a little shorter, but there is a dynamic of a connection of energy that other people are drawn to within the dynamic of who Bob actually is. And they are all part of his soul family, all part of the dynamic of his reality. And then there's all of those other people that when he has to go down to the VA, those hundreds, maybe thousands of other individuals that are operating within the dynamics that he only comes into contact with as a reflection of certain things. And some people may be saying something that he overhears. Some people may be doing something that triggers him in some way, shape, or form, in other words. But those are dynamics. These are energies. Bob may be creating them all in that sort of way. Not the Brenda, not the close one, not the channel and you.
Right.
You know, not Bob and not John and his daughters, not Pawnee and Brian and her family, not Barry and Tony and her kids, and that, not Sue and her daughter and those that love her friends, because Sue has a dynamic, her family is extended. But the people in her extended family are real energies, peoples with souls, right? And we just wish you to consider that there's a lot of others out there that are really just kind of also bit players.
Playing a part, giving a message or a reflection.
Some of them are just there as a reflection. Some of them have absolutely no meaning in your life at all. But then some do, and and there's a middle ground there. Because you have to ask yourself the question, so if you get involved in a relationship with an NPC, does that NPC then become incarnate?
This is like the Velveteen Rabbit. that they become real?
That's the question we're asking, isn't it? We just got berry juice. She goes, I don't know about this one. Go
I just
ahead.
went like Winnie the Pooh, Pinocchio.
Yeah, exactly. 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 It becomes a story that the moral of the story is more important than the story itself.
So then my question is, are these NPCs important? I mean, can we just detach from them?
Yeah, sure. Of course you can.
Yet we're learning from the experiences with NPCs.
Sometimes, not always. Not always. You don't learn from every experience.
So we also have the power then to give NPCs even more energy or more realism in our life? Should we find that there's one that we like? I mean, I'm just posing it as a question. It's not that I believe, but
no, it's not a dynamic of an absolute. And again, you're not going to develop. You're not going to develop a soul family relationship with an NPC.
Oh, okay.
It's a dynamic of you're all part of the same soul family. Otherwise, you wouldn't be speaking with us. Basically, energetically, you're all part of the same soul family. You're spread all over the place for sure, but it's all, if you look at the dynamics of the levels of awareness that you have, this is not, again, we remind you, this is not a dynamic of a better than, but this is a dynamic of you claiming the abilities that you actually have and utilizing those abilities in such a way as to create the world that you wish to create. As we have often said recently, the dynamic has been, how many things do you never really consider what the definition of it is? And when you do consider the definition, then you realize that the understanding of it is so wide and so varied as to include a huge dynamic of information and a huge level of complexity that almost begs to be solved.